Part 2. That's what she said, Liz murmured. Raymond repeated the words without inflection. So, you're saying your wife admitted to having an affair? The doctor asked, jotting notes quickly into an already thick journal. She's going to end up with carpal tunnel if I keep talking, Raymond thought. What happened? Well, I met the other man, fellow Marriott. I don't need to know his name, the brunette therapist interjected briskly. Too bad. You're going to hear it. I'm not calling him Phil or Filio or Mr. Marriott. His name is fellow Marriott. That's what Jackson would have called him if he were chosen in the lottery. And to think, a whole town could have benefited. Okay. What happened when you met him? I made it clear that I believed he had crossed a serious line and that we needed to talk. You threatened him? Never. I just told him a few stories. I didn't touch him. Not once. But I wanted to. I could feel it, boiling in my blood like some kind of addiction. It felt powerful, but I didn't act on it. Not yesterday, anyway. That's a good step, Raymond. I won't say a few sessions are enough, but I'm encouraged by your progress. What else did Diana say? Those words made him flinch. They cracked his carefully composed expression with fine fissures, cracks that time would deepen into the weary lines of a hard life. And that, Diana had said, was when my relationship with Fellow began. I know you spoke to Filello. He called me. Fellow Marriott called me. Raymond narrowed his eyes. To confirm what I told him last night? Diana nodded. I told him it was over. How convenient, Raymond replied with a grim smile. He sounded scared. What did you say to him, Raymond? She asked. Sweet words and a promise of a gentle touch or two, Raymond said with dry sarcasm. Did you hear me? It's over between us. Save it for your diary. I went there to try and give us, me and you, a real chance. I told him it was over. I had a drink. He didn't want it to end. Raymond smiled again. Was it your place? Like that show Cheers, did they call your name when you walked in? Or was it more like Olive Garden, where you got lightheaded from the cheap wine and endless breadsticks? Fellow Marriott, he said again, deliberately. He wouldn't accept it. He got forceful with his kisses. Told me I was being foolish. That I couldn't throw away half a year. That was foolish, Raymond agreed flatly. But I chose us, Raymond. I want us. Is this the part where I'm supposed to say hallelujah and quote Forrest Gump? Diana, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. Did you then go to his apartment to say goodbye in a more intimate way? Raymond chuckled without humor. No, I swear to you, I didn't do that. I didn't sleep with Fellow. Not last night, not ever. Oh, so now's when you say, Ray, I swear I've never been with him. He tried holding your hand once. You crossed your legs, slapped his face. Isn't that your line now, Diana? I'm waiting. You've sworn everything else. Swear this. I, Diana, solemnly swear I have never been with Filello Marriott. So help me God. But silence followed, loud and painful in its quiet. Ray, I can't. No, Diana, you've got it wrong. It's not, I can't be with him. It's, I can't be with you, Raymond. I'm married. Maybe not happily, but still married. Is that what you meant to say? What can I say to you, Raymond? What can I possibly do? His bitter smile was gone. The irony faded from his eyes. Go back. Undo this. Make it all unhappen. Make it so that when you kissed me, I turned into a prince. Make it so that when the glass slipper fits, the storm ends and a rainbow cuts through the sky like a comet. And the birds sing, and the world makes sense again. Do that, Diana. For us. Ray, I wish I could. I want this to work. I need it to work. I think I low. Don't say it. Don't ever say that. Not to me. I know this is wrong. I'm wrong. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm my parents' daughter. I want happiness. I need what we had these past few weeks. Please, think. What can I do to make you forgive me? When your disgust fades, when your hate turns to indifference, what can I do to make you want me again? She broke down into a sob. Her voice cracked, fading into silence. There was a time when he would have done anything to stop her tears. Would have pulled down the moon just to see her smile again. But now, even now, looking at her, all he could feel was the deep, raw ache of betrayal. Did Fellow Marriott tell you what I'm good at? Raymond asked suddenly. After a moment, Diana answered softly, he said of the few things you were good at, forgiveness wasn't one of them. She sank to her knees in front of him. I'm begging you, she whispered. Her eyes streamed with tears, her arms reaching toward him as if she could pull the past back into place. Please, let's fix this. Let's make it right, so no one has to hurt anymore. Forgiveness isn't my strong suit either, Raymond said quietly. So she begged you to take her back? Liz asked. Yes. And I basically told her. I can't. Why not? Because she was unfaithful. I can't trust her again. Would you consider marriage counseling? No. So you acknowledge that both you and Diana have personal issues. But as a couple, you believe your issues can't be resolved. No, Liz. I know we have issues. Just not ones that can be fixed. I can't try. I can't get that image out of my mind. Every time I think of her, I think of him. I see it. I see them together. It makes me sick. I just want that image gone. But I don't think it ever will be. Was Diana a virgin when you married her? No. Do you think about the men she was with before you? It's not the same. No, it's not. I agree. I'm not a marriage counselor, Raymond. But I want you to think about this. Why did Diana cheat? I know it hurts. I'm sorry it happened. But is the trust truly broken beyond repair? Can you rebuild it? Sometimes it's easier to walk away than to stay and try. What happened after you said no? She cried, Raymond said. But it wasn't just crying. It was messy, rough, raw. Everything that sadness should be. He had reached toward her, not to comfort her, but caught in the pull of so many emotions. His fingers tangled in her hair, not gently. She looked up, her face a mix of fear and some buried hope. He felt his other hand rise, poised, an old reflex from darker instincts. But it didn't happen. The impulse stopped short. Instead, his hand moved to rub his cheek, and the tension in his other hand eased. Slowly, he let go. He looked down at her, his own tears threatening to fall. He gave a fractured smile. His hand dropped to her face, and his thumb gently traced her bottom lip. Then Raymond turned and walked away. Her soft sniffles and broken sobs faded behind him as he left the room. It was an uneasy truce as Raymond helped Diana get the kids fed and into bed. He thought about what Liz had said earlier that day about trust. Liz was such an insightful woman. He knew he was fortunate to have found her. She was smart and kind. He respected her perception. She truly was gifted in her profession. She was direct and honest, traits he hadn't always appreciated. But now, he was beginning to understand their value. I have something to discuss with you, Diana said as she stepped into his study bedroom. I've had all of last week to think. Hasn't everything already been said? No, Raymond, it hasn't. I know I've hurt you. I hate that I've done this. If I could take it all back, I would. I'd erase it all. But I can't. I know, Diana. You might think it's over, that we've passed the point of no return. And maybe my father was unstable, maybe he was unpredictable, but my mom always tried to tell me that he loved us in his own way. Maybe I've inherited some of that chaos, but I still believe we have a chance. I think we still have something left. I know it's selfish, and I know it's not fair. I'm not playing by any rules, but I want us to try again. For the kids, Raymond repeated flatly. Yes. I want them to grow up with both their parents, both of us. Don't Julia and Tim deserve a better childhood than the ones we had? This isn't right. It's not fair. Diana, you're asking me to be a martyr. I know, Raymond. I just don't know what else to do. I made a horrible mistake. I want to go back to when you played guitar at Polly's, to when we used to laugh together. When did you start caring about what I want, Diana? I do. Deep down, I think you still want me. I believe that. You really think that? Are you willing to bet on it? No. That thought. And the kids, they're the only things keeping me going right now. I need that hope. Ray exhaled sharply. You're holding on to a dream, Diana. And every time I try to forget, I see you with him. The way you looked at him, the way you shared yourself, the connection, the trust, the closeness. Everything that used to belong to us. And now I'm supposed to pretend none of it happened. Diana's tears surged again like a crashing wave, then faded, leaving a quiet ache behind. Ray's voice turned hollow. Could you even deny it? And if you did, would I believe you? You're the mother of my children, Diana. Ray, please. Please what? Cry with you? Pretend this is all just a nightmare? Pretend trust can magically return? We can rebuild this. We can make it work, Diana pleaded, her voice trembling. Ray shook his head. Enough. There's been too much crying. Too many nights spent trying to hold something broken together. Let it go, Diana. Someone once told me that letting go is easier than fixing what's been shattered. I don't know if that's true, but I can't think of anything harder than this. He's wrong. Giving up is easy, she said, her voice tight. I won't let this end. I feel peace with you, Raymond. I need that. I can breathe around you. I can think. I need you. Love can be selfish sometimes, Diana continued. You love someone because of how they make you feel, because of how you want to make them feel. Diana, Raymond said gently, I think we should see someone. A person who can really help. A counselor. Yes, Diana nodded quickly. Then she hesitated. Raymond, how did you find out? About him and me. Ray looked past her at the wall. A few things. I could feel the distance between us getting worse. Then you changed your hair. I always liked it long, but the short style was different. You looked great. You looked like someone having fun again. And something Elaine said about you eating at Olive Garden. Diana, secrets don't stay secret if more than one person knows. He paused. There were other signs too, things I won't mention. Why? She asked. Because I'm not going to teach you how to be a better liar. Her face fell, and for a moment he waited for the satisfaction of having struck a nerve. But it never came. Lucian, Raymond said, I want you to know something. I think Diana and we're going to separate. What? Lucian's voice rose. I assume Jimmy told you? No. He didn't say a word. What happened? Lucian asked gently. It was just two people growing apart. The years haven't been kind to us. Can't you get help? I think we're beyond that. Are you sure? Yes, Raymond replied. He couldn't bring himself to mention Diana's betrayal. A part of him wanted to, out of spite, but he couldn't do it. He didn't want to be that man. He wasn't sure why, but some part of him still wanted to protect her. What about the kids? We'll have to figure that out together. Ray, just make sure they know this isn't their fault. If either of them starts feeling like they're to blame, I'll be furious. They don't deserve that. I know. I don't want them growing up like we did either. So what are you going to do? Get divorced? I don't know. I wish I did. How are you feeling? How's Diana feeling? I've accepted it. Diana, she wants to try again. What do you have to lose by trying? I'm afraid I'll lose myself. I'll lose my dignity. Your pride. I just don't want to be a fool anymore. I can barely live with it now. So, you'd rather be alone? With your pride and dignity? Ray, Lucian said, if there's one thing I've learned from being with Jennifer, it's that all the pride in the world won't hold you like someone who truly loves you. Lucian's words hit hard. They were painfully true. You're right, Ray said quietly. That's all any of us ever want, to be loved like that. Tim looked up at his father, his little face tense with confusion and hurt. Daddy, why is Mommy always crying? He asked, his voice sharp with blame. Julia, the older one, was tougher. She didn't mince words. What did you say to her, Daddy? Did you say something mean? Did you hurt her feelings? No, guys, Ray replied. Mommy and Daddy are just working through some grown-up stuff. But we both love you. None of this is because of you or Timmy. Are you getting a divorce? Julia asked. How did an 8-year-old even know that word? What's divorce? Tim asked. It's when a mom and dad don't live together anymore, Julia answered, coldly. It's when they don't love each other anymore. How could he explain that it wasn't about love? That it was about trying and failing to live under the same roof? You and Mommy aren't going to live together anymore? Timmy asked, his voice small and shaking. No, kids. We're not getting divorced. We're just trying to fix some problems. Can't you just say you're sorry? Timmy asked again. Not in this case, buddy. But it's going to be okay. Julia waited until Timmy left the room. Daddy, Timmy is too young. I know, sweetheart. So are you, she added, matter-of-factly. We're going to have to live with Mom and visit you on the weekends, aren't we? Julia, your mom and I aren't at that point. But you will be. Julia. And then we'll have to choose who to live with. Or maybe Timmy will stay with you, and I'll live with Mom. I have kids in my class whose parents are divorced. You'll make us choose. She stormed off. Ray stood in the silence she left behind. He didn't know how to talk to them about this, not yet. Maybe he'd ask Liz. She would know. She had a way of handling hard things with grace. He walked into his office. Before he could stop himself, he opened his email. There were more than 20 unread messages from Diana. Every subject line said the same thing. Please give us another chance, Raymond. Happiness is with you. So why do you feel my sorrow in the words you've borrowed from the only place you've known? And why do you sing hallelujah if it means nothing to you? Why do you sing with me at all? 6. She knew it was him. Every single email begged for the same thing. The office wasn't any different. He had just never taken the time to really see it before. He would usually sit in his chair, eyes fixed ahead, never looking around, always trying to find the answer to Liz's question. Everything in the office was soothing. His subconscious had likely picked up on it long before he realized. The only things missing were a few candles, soft string music, and the gentle echo of Buddhist chanting, and he'd be lost in the room's quiet zen. So, what are you planning to do? Liz asked again. Ever since Diana had started opening up about herself, Raymond had begun to see art in a different light. He noticed the Monet print against one wall. It was set in one of those typical corporate frames, sleek, stainless steel with a plexiglass front that had just enough scuffs to distort the light. It lacked any warmth, but it looked easy to clean, just a spritz of Windex and a soft cloth. To the left, between two windows, hung another painting. Longer and framed in rich wood with delicate carved lines, it was clearly chosen with care to complement the piece within. He turned toward Liz. That second painting was positioned perfectly for her view. Her clients might not notice it, but it was there for her to enjoy. I recognized the Monet. But what painting is that? Her lips pressed together in mild irritation. That's a Winslow Homer. And before you ask, it's called The New Novel. It was whimsical, a pretty young woman, lost in the world of the book she was reading. The piece was captivating in a quiet, almost reverent way. It reminded Raymond of what the Elysian Fields might look like. It's beautiful, he said softly, studying her. In an unguarded moment, he truly saw her. She was vulnerable. She had the right words for everyone else, but maybe not for herself. There was a yearning there, unspoken and raw. And for the briefest moment, just the space it takes for rain to fall or a page to turn, she wasn't Liz the psychologist. She was Liz, a beautiful woman with dreams and quiet longing. Then it was gone. She composed herself again, businesslike. See how easy that was? You asked a question, and I answered. Now I've asked, so answer. I don't know how to say, I don't know. Without being angry at myself, Raymond admitted, his voice strained. You don't know what you're going to do? Liz clarified. No, I don't. That's fair. This isn't a decision to take lightly. So tell me, what are you thinking and feeling as you try to decide? Everything is a battlefield, he said bitterly. I want her. I hate myself for wanting her. I think about her. I hate myself for thinking about her. I hide from her. And I hate myself for hiding. Do you see the pattern? He added with a weak, sarcastic smile. Liz leaned forward slightly. It sounds like you still have powerful, unresolved feelings for your wife and guilt over those feelings. She cheated on me. You suspected it, didn't you? Suspecting and knowing are worlds apart. You can believe in the idea of something, but knowing, it's like touching fire. I didn't want to know. But then it got so obvious I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Ever since I had knew someone else had entered our world, I couldn't deny it without denying everything. I might as well have denied that water is wet or ice is cold. That's how obvious it was. And then the marriage, already hanging by threads, just fell apart. Like a condemned building brought down in one controlled collapse. Okay, Liz said calmly. So, you still care for Diana, but you're angry at her, at yourself. And you feel betrayed. For your marriage to survive, one of those feelings must outweigh the other. It's simple and complicated at the same time. Liz, it's never simple. No, it's not. Are you considering counseling? I've thought about it. Okay, talk to me about that. She scribbled a note in his folder. I've also wondered, Raymond said, almost shyly, what if I were to find someone else? You mean start dating again? Divorce and move on? Yes and no. What if I had an affair? What if I found someone, just so Diana would understand what it feels like? Liz raised her eyebrows. And how would that help? We'd be even. Both of us cheaters. Then maybe we could try to rebuild from that place or not. Wouldn't Diana be hurt by that? Wouldn't the other woman? Yes, and yes, Raymond admitted, lowering his gaze. I don't know what else to do. The idea drives me crazy. I want to hurt her. And then I hate myself for even thinking it. I want her to feel what I'm feeling, but I also want to protect her from that pain. I don't want to hurt anyone else, either. And what if I actually fell in love with the other person? So this plan, it's not serious. No, I know how foolish it is. That whole two wrongs thing. I guess the only part I'm really stuck on is the idea of falling for someone else. What do you mean? I mean, what if I met someone smart, interesting, kind, someone calm and intuitive? And I worked to be that for her too. What if she had this quiet, passionate, whimsical side that most people never saw, but I would? And she'd share it with me. And I'd love her for it. Liz looked at him gently. You're describing a fantasy, Raymond. You're at a fragile crossroads right now. Fantasizing might not help. Is it a fantasy, Liz? Is she just a dream? What are you asking? I mean, Liz, how do you handle listening to everyone's problems, all day, every day? Raymond answered the question. What do you mean by this fantasy? I'm trying to. But you're the one everyone comes to. Who listens to you? Raymond fought the urge to fidget. It was difficult, He looked toward Diana. She looked just as uneasy. She caught his eye and offered a soft, understanding smile. It felt like an inside joke he didn't understand. He quickly looked away. He wasn't ready for her comfort. Not now. He was dressed in a suit. Isn't that what dads are supposed to wear for things like this? Diana looked sharp too, in a soft pink blouse and beige slacks. The only thing missing was a strand of pearls to complete the suburban mom look. He glanced sideways at her. The glances were meant to look casual. Truth was, he just wanted to see her. The office looked like the kind of place a school official would occupy, metal cabinets strong enough to survive a natural disaster, and a heavy desk that announced authority. Maybe that was a perk of being the principal, a solid desk, not the cheap graffiti-scarred one students use. He hadn't seen Diana in days. They were home, but hiding from each other. She looked like she was waiting for something. A bus. A miracle. A sign. He couldn't explain it, but that sense of expectation around her frightened him. And he didn't know why. Was it because he was afraid it would never happen, or because he feared that it might? He made sure to play with the kids, talk to them, and eat dinner with them every night. He even sat across the dinner table from her. And yet, he never actually had to talk to Diana. He could see the pepper mill sitting in front of her while he spoke to Timmy about preschool. It was like the Holy Grail, a fixed point on the table that anchored his gaze. Then he'd turn to Julia and say, "Julia, could you pass the pepper and the salt?" Diana was Mommy now. That was her new name. "Timmy, did you thank Mommy for dinner?" "Julia, was Mommy able to help you with your spelling words?" He had settled into a rhythm, a schedule that made him feel in control. He had covered all the angles. He knew how to play his part. But this meeting today? It disrupted the rhythm completely. There were no kids to act as a buffer. And Diana, she looked so good. He drank in the sight of her, her fresh look, her skin soft like a cloud. He forced himself to shut out any thoughts that might stir feelings he didn't want to entertain. He knew how easily his mind could make that leap. He had resisted for so long. He had been disciplined for so long. Looking at her was his indulgence, his personal reward for mastering how to feel cold toward her while staying warm with everyone else. That's how a marriage dies. He knew the steps. He'd taken them before, out of ignorance and immaturity. He was wiser now, but the motions still came naturally. She was his temptation, and for a fleeting moment, he gave in, allowing his side glances to linger a little too long, filling them with visions of what once was. The office door opened. "Mr. and Mrs. Aberhurst?" "I'm Dr. Nash," the small woman said as she entered. She stood maybe 5'2", but her voice was firm and confident. Ree stood as she walked behind the desk. She looked to be in her early 50s, slightly heavy-set, with dark blonde hair that matched her conservative brown business suit. Her presence had a curious effect on him. It made him want to straighten up, to promise never to misbehave again. She made him feel a little uneasy, yet somehow completely safe. It was a strange feeling, one he didn't recall having before. "Dr. Nash. Please, call me Raymond. I prefer Mr. Aberhurst. A large part of what we do here is teaching these kids manners." "Understood, Dr. Nash," Raymond replied with a respectful nod. "Dr. Nash," Diana said nervously, "I spoke to the office secretary earlier. She mentioned you wanted to speak about Julia. I hope you know that Julia has always been a very good student. I'm sure this must be a misunderstanding." "I respect that, Mrs. Aberhurst. Julia is a very good student. She's in 3rd grade and has a remarkable vocabulary. Her teachers love having her in class. She's a wonderful girl. You both should be very proud." Ray let out a sigh. "We're relieved to hear that. We were worried she might be in trouble." "Well, Mr. Aberhurst," Dr. Nash continued, "it's not her grades or behavior that concern us. It's something she wrote. Her teacher, and I found it a little alarming." Ray felt Diana glance at him. "What did she write, Dr. Nash?" Diana asked. "She was given an assignment to write about what she wants to be when she grows up. It's a standard exercise in 3rd grade. We use it to help kids start thinking about their futures, and we especially like to encourage young girls to explore science and math." But there was one section that stood out. Dr. Nash opened a folder and pulled out a sheet of paper. The large, blocky handwriting stretched across the page. She pointed to a sentence near the end. "I don't know what I want to be. I just know I want to be as happy as Mommy and Daddy used to be for a little while. I don't want to pick who I like more." Dr. Nash read the words aloud. Ray frowned and looked over at Diana. She was looking right back at him. They thought they had hidden it so well. They thought they were the clever, experienced adults. But their little girl had seen through it all. And with 3 simple sentences, she exposed the truth her own confusion and sadness laid bare. Diana put a hand over her mouth. She looked like she might be sick. Raymond felt a wave of shame crash over him. He had thought he was being clever, punishing Diana subtly, making her feel the distance while keeping the kids out of it. He had convinced himself that his children wouldn't notice, that he could lavish affection on one parent and withhold it from the other, and still be fair. Dr. Nash, Raymond stumbled. Mr. Aberhurst, please understand, your personal lives are your own. I'm simply letting you know that Julia is clearly asking for help. This is her way of crying out. We know, Dr. Nash, Diana said quietly. We're going through some issues as a family, but please know that our children always come first. I appreciate that, Mrs. Aberhurst. But what can we do to support Julia? Dr. Nash, I think the next step is to talk with Julia and find a way to reassure her, Raymond said, his voice shaky. Mr. Aberhurst, I really appreciate both of you making the time to be here. Julia is an exceptional student. Just weeks ago, her teacher noted how actively she was participating in class. This change has been sudden. She still appears happy and well-adjusted, and having both of you involved is more than we usually see from parents. We're doing our best. We'll get to the bottom of this, Diana said. Thank you for being receptive, Dr. Nash said. Julia is very bright. She writes exceptionally well for her age. The rest of her composition is actually quite interesting. She even mentioned her family members' jobs. One uncle works with computers, and the other wears a suit and does something with buying and selling. Oh, Raymond said with a small smile the first of the day. Those are actually my 2 closest friends. The kids call them Uncle Lucian and Uncle Jimmy. Dr. Nash studied him for a moment. Her gaze was sharp and calculating. If I may ask, what is your first name, Mr. Aberhurst? She said carefully. Ray, he answered. Raymond, she repeated slowly. He nodded. Do you remember a Miss Cooperman, perhaps from elementary school? Yes, he replied, a bit confused. She was my 5th grade teacher. I wasn't married then. That was a long time ago, Dr. Nash said softly. Dr. Cooperman. Mrs. Nash. Dr. Nash, she corrected herself. I used to teach at PS 11, out in the castle. Raymond's eyes widened. You were my teacher? Yes. I was in my 2nd year back then, very young, very idealistic. I remember you, Lucian, and James. You 3 were inseparable. All good students. You and Lucian were the quiet ones. James, if I recall, was the talkative one. You also had a friend from another class. Chuck? I can't remember his last name. That's so strange, surreal, Raymond said. I'm amazed you remember us. I think it's a combination of being young and having such kind, thoughtful students. You 3 always seemed like you were missing something, like you were searching for something. I always thought I'd read your books one day. That must be where Julia gets her writing talent. You really thought I'd be a writer? You used to write the most beautiful stories. So wise for your age. I even suspected plagiarism at first, but quickly learned better. Who, me? Raymond said with a faint chuckle. Voice of a generation I'm not. I have enough trouble finding my own voice. Dr. Nash reached up to adjust her glasses. Raymond flinched. He was 11 again. A sudden movement from an adult's hand near his face triggered something deep in him. He felt a twist in his stomach, the instinct to retreat. And Dr. Nash's eyes narrowed. He looked away, guilty. Did she know? All those years ago, did she somehow know? I never forgot the 3 of you, Dr. Nash said. You were all special students. I've always prayed that you each found happier lives. Are Lucian and James doing well? She asked, her gaze steady and serious. Yes, Mrs. Nash. Lucian's getting married to an amazing woman. He's doing really well. And Jimmy is, well, Jimmy. Smart, funny, successful, kind of unstoppable, Raymond said with a small smile. This is amazing, Diana said, breaking the quiet. I can't believe you know Jim and Lucian and Raymond and remember them all. Some students just stay with you, Dr. Nash replied cryptically, her eyes still fixed on Raymond. He wanted to hug her. They all remembered her. It had been 20 years. She was the only adult, aside from Chuck's parents, that they truly liked. And then the year ended, and middle school came, and that was the last of it. How much did she really know about them? Well, I'll let you go, Dr. Nash said suddenly, clearing her throat and standing. She seemed much smaller now than he remembered. He used to think she was his height. Raymond and Diana stood. She shook Diana's hand warmly and thanked her for coming. Then she shook Raymond's hand too, holding it a moment longer. Tell Lucian, Jimmy, and yourself to be happy and stay safe. Bullets are easy. Show me someone who's memory-proof, she said gently. Her hand lingered on his like a mother brushing her son's hair. Then she let go and walked to the door, ushering them out, closing it softly behind them. Daddy? Julia's voice was soft and sleepy. Her pale blonde hair spilled across her pillow, longer than her mother's. Her eyes were nearly the shade of a robin's egg. Yes, sweetheart. Raymond replied, tucking the covers around her. I don't want to have to choose who I want to live with. Honey, you don't need to worry about that. Just try to get some rest. He and Diana had talked to Julia as soon as they got home. No matter what they said, their daughter's stubborn heart wasn't easily swayed. She knew something was happening, and no amount of gentle words could make her believe otherwise. I don't want to choose, she whispered again. Good night, he said softly, turning on the nightlight and switching off the overhead light. Please don't make me choose, Daddy, she repeated, even smaller now, her voice almost lost in the blankets. He walked away, quietly preparing for bed. Was he the one making her choose? He wanted so badly to say, it's your mom that forced us into this, Julia. But he wouldn't. He couldn't. He opened his laptop and clicked on the last email she had sent. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He had already typed a reply, a long one. Rambling. Bitter. Full of resentment. His chest buzzed with the charge of anger, like a lightning rod pulling in every dark thought. It pulsed through him, like fire in someone else's veins. He fed off it. He reread the message over and over before finally hitting cancel. He paused. Typed again. You win. I'll try the counseling. This is it. He lay on the couch and curled up tightly in the dark, a small shape trying to guard himself. His pride screamed at him. It mocked him, tore at his sense of manhood. It shouted at his helplessness. He was in crash position, bracing for impact, but the fall just continued. He thought about his kids. Julia and Timmy meant everything to him. He would never let them feel the pain he once knew. They would never have to question their father's love. A father's job was to protect and nurture. Sometimes that job was more important than being a husband, more than being a man. He swallowed his pride. It tasted like acid, burning his throat, settling in his gut. He didn't move. He stayed curled up on the couch, lost in a lonely vigil until the slow arrival of dawn. The next morning, weary and worn, he went into the office and opened his email. A reply from Diana waited. Thank you. Ray picked up the phone and called Jim. He wasn't used to reaching out like this. But this time, he couldn't untangle it on his own. Hey, Jimmy. It's Raymond. Hey, man. How are you holding up? I'm okay. I mean, Diana and I are going to give counseling a try. I'm glad to hear that, Jim said. I want to make it work. At least for the kids. What about for yourself? Jim asked gently. Ray paused. I don't know. It's hard. Why is it so hard to want things to work out with your wife? It's complicated, Jim. Really complicated stuff. I can't get into it right now. Jim started to say something, then stopped. There's something else bothering me, Ray admitted. What is it? I got dumped. By Diana? Jim asked, surprised. No. By my therapist. What? You heard me. Liz, my psychologist, she ended our sessions. How is that even possible? She said it was the right thing to do. Professionally, Raymond said. Jim hesitated. Ray, were things ever more than doctor-patient? No, Raymond answered firmly. She just felt someone else might be better suited to help me with what I'm dealing with. That wasn't entirely what the phone call was about, but that was how he needed to frame it now. Whenever Raymond thought of Liz's voice, he felt a low ache pressed against his temple. He remembered it clearly. Hi, Liz. What do I owe this unexpected call to? He had asked. This isn't something I would normally do, she replied, much less over the phone. Oh, he had said quietly. Ray, I think you should find another therapist, she said with calm professionalism. Why? This is a textbook case of transference. You've begun to see me as someone you feel safe with, possibly even more than that. That's not healthy for your growth. What kind of more? He asked. Our last session made it clear that you see me as a potential partner, someone you want to know outside of this setting. And while I'm honored, that makes our professional relationship unworkable. Liz, I know I said too much, but I've decided to go ahead with counseling with Diana. I can't deny that I'm drawn to you, but I'm grown enough not to act on it. I won't make you uncomfortable or sabotage my family. I'm glad you've made that decision, she said softly. But your progress is the priority. Any chance of personal feelings becoming a distraction would get in the way. What you need to focus on is your own healing and your family, not how to manage your feelings toward me. Do you understand? Raymond sighed. I understand. I'm not happy about it, but I understand. You're afraid I'll always wonder if you could be the one I was meant for. But I want you to know, I'm not unfeeling. I'm just guarded. Yes, Raymond. I know. You're an amazing woman, Liz. I wish you peace and happiness. I hope you have soft grass under your feet, a good book to read, and someone to watch over you. He remembered the silence, her quiet breath, and then her voice. Thank you, Raymond. I've put together a list of professionals I think could really help. I'll send it over. Liz. I can't promise not to wonder. But you're right. If I want to give things with Diana a real chance, I need to let go. Otherwise, I'll never be all in. So, I'll just fax it over, she said again after a pause. Liz, part of me wishes I were someone else, someone new, someone with a clean slate, someone who didn't need you like a patient does. I know you'll be relieved to see me go. But somewhere in that quiet, hidden world of yours, the place where you keep your own hopes and dreams, Elizabeth, I hope you think of me from time to time. There was a moment of silence. I wish you the best of luck, Raymond. I believe you're on the right path. Goodbye. The click echoed in his ear, stretching the silence into something almost painful. Raymond hated goodbyes. He wanted to cry, but crying had never come easily to him. He learned how to suppress tears from teachers who were experts in emotional restraint. Still, he wondered if it would help, if letting go would relieve the weight on his shoulders or the tightness in his throat. His eyes felt heavy and dry. They were always dry. Saying goodbye to Liz felt like watching a road vanish into the horizon. It was the closing of a door on a life that might have been. He didn't want to think in terms of regrets. He felt guilty for the thought, and that guilt made him angry. He had nothing to feel guilty about. Dreams, no matter how vivid, of another woman could not compare to Diana's betrayal. At this point, she hadn't earned back the right to be above reproach. Raymond didn't know if therapy would work. Diana might always be serving a penance that could never be completed. She might be punished indefinitely. And that wasn't love. He knew the anger inside him was consuming him. It was eating away at who he was. What remained was stark, absolute, and blinding in its loneliness. Ray looked at his email account. Diana had replied. Any preferences? She'd written. What followed was a list of 5 names, marriage counselors. One name stood out to him. Michael Kahn. Michael Kahn, Ray said out loud a few times. And then it clicked. He pulled out the fax list Liz had sent. There it was, Michael Kahn. Liz had been subtle. She had included doctors with a background in couples counseling, not just individual therapy. The choice was obvious now. The 2 women who had been on his mind the most had made the same suggestion. Dr. Michael Kahn reminded Raymond a little of a younger Albert Einstein, if Einstein had less hair, was taller, slimmer, had a neater mustache, and brown hair. In truth, the more Raymond thought about it, the more he realized he looked absolutely nothing like Einstein. Diana and Raymond got comfortable as Dr. Kahn introduced himself. Call me Mick. I see you're Raymond and Diana Averhurst. May I call you Raymond and Diana? He asked in a steady, warm voice. Sure, Diana replied, as Raymond nodded. So, you're here to work on strengthening your marriage and resolving some ongoing issues, Mick said, getting right to the point. Both nodded. As you may have noticed, I don't wear a wedding ring. I'm not married. I was married. I won't be the kind of therapist who tells you every marriage can be saved. Even with all my training, my own marriage ended. If that affects your trust in me, now's the time to say so. That being said, we'll work to fix what can be fixed, accept what must be accepted, and then evaluate what remains. To break the ice, let me share this. My ex-wife and I drifted apart. We were both career-focused. We were both too stubborn to compromise. We made mistakes we didn't think the other could forgive. With the 2 of you, we need to figure out whether your connection can grow stronger or if it's beyond repair. How does that sound? Oh, Diana said hesitantly. It sounds perfect, Mick, Raymond responded. Diana. Mick prompted again. Yes. It will do, she said, quietly. You sound hesitant. You'll need to trust the process, and trust me. What's bothering you? Mick had a mop of curly brown hair that bounced with every movement. His gaze was steady and open. I never imagined a marriage counselor being divorced, Diana admitted. If your marriage didn't work, what hope do we have? Are you both willing to try? Is this the most important thing in your life right now? Mick asked gently. Yes, Diana replied. Yes, Raymond added. That was the mistake my ex and I made. We didn't put our relationship first. Our careers always came first. You know what's ironic? She's now remarried and a stay-at-home mom. And she's happier than ever. I'm happy for her. But I've learned that if I ever marry again, I'll move heaven and earth to make it last. Okay, Mick. I'm in, Diana said. Good. So, let's begin. What's going on? Our marriage was a good marriage, Diana began. All right, before we go any further, another rule, honesty. Benevolent honesty. Nothing said here is meant to wound, but truth is essential. Diana nodded. Our marriage was a bit reserved. We both had reasons for being the way we were. But I made a mistake. I did something incredibly foolish. I had an affair. All right, Raymond, Mick turned to him. I want you to respond too. But remember, an affair is often a symptom of a deeper issue, not the root cause. But yes, Diana, it can be a symptom that spells the end of something living. And a marriage is alive. It grows. It moves. It needs to be nurtured. Tell me more about the marriage. Diana, please continue. We were like strangers in the same house, she said. I had a difficult childhood. I recently learned my father was an alcoholic. But what I remember is a man who couldn't hold a job and left us when we needed him. I promised myself I'd never be with someone like that. Then I met Raymond in college. He was pre-law, smart, responsible, calm. He wasn't like my father at all. Raymond felt a twinge. Responsible suddenly felt like a judgment. He was safe, faithful, the kind of man you could count on, the kind of man who brought stability. We had a neat, structured life. He came home every night. He was kind. You could lean on him. I don't know if I ever fell in love with him the way books describe. Maybe not in the Romeo and Juliet sense. But I cared deeply for him. We were well matched. He was self-contained. So was I. Okay, Diana. Then what? Mick asked. After our kids started school, I felt lost at home. Isolated. So I started painting again, something I'd loved as a child. And when I painted, I felt something intense. Primal. A spark I hadn't felt in years. I took a class. The instructor was male. And around that same time, a good friend of Raymond's, Lucian, fell in love. And when he talked about Jennifer, when I saw them together, I was stunned. That kind of passion was real. It was something people actually had, not just in stories. They had a connection that made the room feel like it belonged to them and everyone else was just background. It was beautiful and I was envious. Not of Jennifer, but of the feeling. When my teacher offered me private lessons, I knew it was more than that. But I went anyway. I wanted to learn more. About painting, and maybe about passion too. I went looking for something I hadn't realized I was missing. So, this is your affair, Diana? Why are we even here? It sounds like you made your choice. Raymond wanted to leave. He felt trapped. It was suffocating to hear her say it out loud. He stared down at his hands, gripping the arms of the chair. But it wasn't real, Diana said, her voice breaking. It wasn't passion. It was just physical. It wasn't caring. It wasn't that quiet, humbling connection two people can share. It wasn't love. Diana let out a cry, and Mick gently encouraged her to continue. After a while, it became more of a habit. A trap I didn't know how to escape from. Then something changed in Raymond. He started to open up. He wanted to be present with me, with the kids. He began to talk, really talk, and he became more nurturing, not just to the kids, but to me too. He said the things I didn't even know I needed to hear. I still felt safe with him, but now I felt wanted too. Loved. She gave a bitter laugh. The more he opened up, the more I wanted him. I finally discovered real passion, and it was with my own husband. What made you tell him about the affair? Mick asked gently. My mom and I finally had a real conversation about my dad. It was painful. I'd grown up believing he was just a deadbeat who abandoned us. But my mom told me the truth. He struggled deeply with alcoholism. That he actually loved us, but he couldn't fight the addiction. It consumed him. She said he didn't leave us because he stopped caring. He left because he couldn't stop himself. Diana's voice trembled. She said he let it consume him, like a shadow overtaking him, and that most likely he didn't survive. Her words destroyed everything I thought I knew. I never understood how sick he was. I never knew how much he loved me. She paused, then added softly, I used to wish he was gone. I used to pray he'd suffer for what he did to us. I thought he was cruel. But after talking to her, I just felt guilt. I imagined him alone somewhere, broken. I felt like I had wished it into existence. I needed time alone. I needed to figure it out. So you left? Mick asked. I went for a drive. I just drove and thought. And then I realized I was heading away from the place I needed to be. But before I could go back, I knew I had to end it with PH, the other man. She swallowed hard. I called him and asked to meet somewhere public. We met at a bar. I had a drink with him. He didn't want to accept it was over. He kissed me. I didn't start the kiss, but at that moment, it felt easier just to go along with it. I didn't want a scene. I just needed him to listen. That's all that happened. It didn't go any further. And even that felt wrong. I finally told him it was over and I left. I drove home. She paused again. I didn't realize Raymond would be waiting at the door. That he'd pick up on the signs, notice the clues that I hadn't been alone. Even though I tried to explain that I loved him. She looked down. So that's what happened. Mick leaned forward. Before I ask Raymond to share his side, I want both of you to understand something. Whatever sadness and anger Raymond feels right now is valid. His reaction is real and normal. If we need to, next session we'll work on exercises to help with that anger. It will be difficult. For both of you. But, Raymond, what would you like to add? Raymond exhaled. This might sound ridiculous, but I'm not ready to hear, I love you from her. Not yet. I've been seeing a counselor until recently, so I understand how this process works. But it's still hard opening up to someone new. From the look on Diana's face, it was clear she hadn't known. Let's just take it slowly, Mick said. This isn't something we're going to fix today. Today is about understanding. We can begin healing after that. Go on. I had a tough childhood too, Raymond admitted. But it's not something I talk about. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I learned early how to bury everything. I hid all my emotions so deep that no one, not even me, could find them. Pain, anger, disappointment. I locked them away. What about good feelings? Mick asked. They were rare, Raymond said. Sometimes there was laughter. Sometimes hope. But it was easier to bury those two to protect them. So I could take them out later, in private, and think about them without anyone taking them away. I guarded them so tightly that even I had trouble finding them sometimes. He took a deep breath. When I met Diana, I wanted to tell her everything. I didn't realize at first that maybe she didn't feel the same. I was just so happy that someone like her wanted to be with me. We got married. And still, I didn't know how to show her what I felt, how much I needed her. He glanced at her. I kept waiting for the moment she'd walk out. That she'd say she couldn't live with someone so emotionally shut down. But she stayed. And inside, I was like a desperate dog, panting to show her everything. I just didn't know how. He shifted uncomfortably. Then I heard Chuck died. He was an old friend from the neighborhood. He was warm, generous, open. He shared himself, his home, his feelings. What you saw was who he was. So he was who you wish you were? Mick asked. Raymond didn't answer directly. When Chuck died, it shook me. I talked to Lucian about it, and he made me realize I could change. That I could be more like Chuck. That I could have what he and Jennifer had. He paused again. And yes, I suspected Diana was having an affair. She wasn't very subtle. But I made a decision. I would be a better father and husband. I started making time. I insisted on being in her life. I opened up. I tried to rebuild what we had. And for a while, it felt like it was working. She responded. I thought we had a chance. His voice grew quiet. Then it all fell apart. I found out. And now it feels like everything is broken. Is it over for you, Raymond? Mick asked. Are you done trying? No. I want to try. For the kids. But is that enough? Mick asked. If this is only for the kids, we should stop here. Because that won't be enough. This could happen again. Maybe next time it's you. You have to want to try for you. Do you? I don't know, Raymond said, his voice nearly a whisper. Diana let out a quiet sigh. You suspected the affair. Yet when it was confirmed, it hit you like a truck. Why? Mick asked. Knowing something and admitting it are different, Raymond said. I kept telling myself I was wrong. That it didn't matter. That I had the facts wrong. I was lying to myself. But I wasn't wrong. And when I had to face it, it was like poison. I couldn't get the images out of my head. I felt sick. He swallowed. That's why I started seeing Liz, my therapist, about a month ago. I was scared of what I might do if I couldn't manage the anger. I'd spent so long locking away every emotion. Now, when I tried to let the good out, the bad came with it. I needed help. Raymond's voice turned dry. I wanted to be able to tell Diana, eventually, that I handled it. That I kept control. That she could be proud to be my wife. Mick asked gently, Raymond, what exactly are you upset about? Raymond hesitated. It's hard to explain. It's everything. That she was with someone else. That she did this to us. That whatever trust we had is gone. That whatever could have grown between us was crushed. That something sacred between us was shared with someone else. That her body, and maybe her heart, belonged to someone who wasn't me. But you two were just starting to try and rebuild your marriage. It sounds like Diana's relationship was ending, that everything you're upset about is already in the past, Mick said gently. Raymond replied quietly, even if our marriage wasn't perfect, it was still a marriage. It still meant something to me. But it felt like it meant nothing to her. Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, Mick continued, but what you're describing to me is that you always loved Diana, and you thought she loved you. And I learned she didn't, Raymond admitted. But I figured she cared. I didn't know how to show her how much I needed her. Then it was like she was just gone, and I couldn't find her. I had this feeling, but not proof, that she was with someone else. So, the rules still apply, Mick said. You feel betrayed. Your love feels betrayed. Your trust in her is broken. Raymond gave a small nod. Diana sat motionless, staring straight ahead. I just wanted it all to go away, Raymond whispered, filled with shame. I wanted her to fall in love with me. What if she does now? Mick asked. Then why didn't she back then? Why couldn't she know how much I did? Raymond responded bitterly. You said it yourself, Ray. You never opened up to her, Mick pointed out. But why did she give up without even trying? Raymond snapped. Why didn't she fight for me? Why didn't she try to save me? Mick turned to Diana. Diana. I didn't know he needed saving, she said softly. I spent so long trying to understand my own needs that I didn't realize how much he needed me, just like I didn't realize how much I needed him. Raymond exhaled heavily. Well, it doesn't help. I tried. I reached for her. I am tired of trying. I am tired of wanting. Ray, be honest with us, Mick said. What are you feeling right now? What emotions has the affair left you with? Jealous. Sick to my stomach. Angry. Hurt. Betrayed. Unwanted. Used. Cheated. Confused. Violent. No, not physically, but inside. It's like a storm I can't shut off, he answered, gripping the sides of his chair. If she couldn't open up to me, then she should have opened up to no one. If she couldn't love me that way, she shouldn't have loved anyone. She should have seen I was trying. There was a long silence. Mick leaned forward. We have a lot to work through. Raymond, even though your anger is understandable and in many ways, it's a healthy part of the healing process. If it lingers too long, it will prevent you from moving forward. Let it run its course, but then let it go. He looked between them. You are already taking steps in the right direction. But, Raymond, you need to understand that forgiveness will be necessary. Even your own issues with opening up contributed to where this marriage ended up. And Diana, he said, turning to her, that doesn't excuse what happened. Raymond's struggles did not give you permission to step outside your marriage. You are going to have to work to rebuild his trust. It will take time, and it will take sacrifice. He continued, let's begin working on rebuilding trust. We're going to start practicing openness and honesty. Here's how. I want each of you to ask the other a question. Just one for now. The person receiving the question will answer as openly as they can. No dodging, no shutting down. Diana, you go first. She turned toward Raymond, her voice shaky but steady. Ree, do you think you could learn to love me again? Do you think this could ever be worth it? Ray looked at her. He wanted to say no. He wanted to let the anger pour out and bury her in it. But doing that would only bury himself. Hurting her would mean hurting himself, too. I don't know, Diana, he said honestly. I really don't. She breathed out, her lips parting slightly, eyes watering. She hadn't cried during the session, holding herself upright the whole time. Raymond couldn't tell if his answer had broken her or given her hope. Ray, what's your question? Mick asked. He didn't take his eyes off Diana. I want you to be honest. Was this man, fellow Marriott, such a better man than me, that you not only gave him your body, but your trust? Your sad moments? The times you needed someone to hold you? The nights you needed to be comforted? Was he the one who got all of that? It could have been the silence of a hillside filled with chirping crickets, and even that would have felt loud compared to the hush that followed. Ray, it wasn't like that, Diana finally said. It didn't start that way. It started as conversations about art. I can't lie. I was attracted to him. But what I told him, I would take back if I could. The only comfort I ever got from him was physical. And even that never made the weight I carried feel any lighter. She glanced away, then back. I wanted it to be you. And for that short time when you were showing up for me and the kids, I was so happy. Happier than I had any right to be. Ray looked away, disgusted. He had asked. He got the truth. But it brought no comfort. Please, listen, she continued. I went to him when I felt low. I thought he could understand. He appreciated my art, said he saw something in it, but I don't think he ever really understood it. Or me. He didn't know me. He didn't care. Not truly. She swallowed. People say things like that don't mean anything. But how can that be true if they end up hurting someone you care about? That's all I see now, that I hurt you. That's what I'll live with. That's what came from all of this. And I am sorry. I am so sorry. She added quietly, being with him was just a habit. A mistake. I never walked away feeling better. I never felt whole. The only time I felt truly happy again was when I ended it, and I came back to you. Her voice broke. And now, I'm going to lose you. Maybe even the kids. Ray's jaw unclenched. You'll never lose the kids, Diana. You're a wonderful mother. I would never take them away from you. They deserve to be happy, no matter what. And you? She whispered. I can only promise the kids, he replied. She looked like she wanted to say more, but Mick raised a hand. I think this is a good place to stop for today, he said. We've gone far enough for one session. Okay, Diana said faintly. Before we go, we need to talk about your anger, Raymond. You're going to feel a lot of it. That's normal. But we need to manage it in a way that doesn't cause further harm. So, here's a technique. Twice a day, set a timer for 20 minutes. And during that time, let yourself feel whatever you need to. Be mad. Yell. Vent. But it must be safe and private, not around the kids. And no physical expressions of anger. How's that supposed to work? Raymond asked, puzzled. For those 40 minutes a day, you have permission to release what you feel. The rest of the day is a conscious effort to be calm, constructive, and focused on healing. He turned to Diana. And your role during that time is to listen, to understand, not to defend or explain, just to be present and absorb it. Eventually, I may ask you to hold Raymond while he's expressing that pain. Just be there. Ray was skeptical. He looked at Diana. She looked afraid but nodded. You both have to be willing to try this, Mick said. Ray gave a single nod. One more thing, Ray, Mick added. I want you to think about what Diana can do to rebuild your trust. Specific actions. Even if they seem strange or difficult. Something that shows you she's committed to making this work. Like what? Ray asked, wary. Maybe it's something simple but consistent. Like keeping a journal of when she thinks about the other man, if she does. Something tangible that keeps her accountable and helps you both rebuild transparency. Something along those lines, Mick nodded. But bring your list in, and we'll go over it during the next session. And Diana, I'd like a list from you too. Things you would like from Raymond. All right, she replied. Raymond asked, what kind of things? Diana answered, we've been avoiding it for understandable reasons, but we've still been dancing around it. Raymond has trouble opening up. That's what I want to come prepared with, things I want to understand about him. What I wish he'd start talking about. I'll have my list, Diana added eagerly. Ray owed Lucian a call. He had been startled awake in the study, probably from uneasy dreams. Since he was already up early, he decided to head into the office and plan to return Lucian's call. His friend had called the day before, asking for an update. Ray dialed, hoping it would go to voicemail. Deep down, he knew he wasn't really up for a conversation. And his luck, or fate, would have it, the other line picked up. Lucian speaking came the familiar voice. Hey, it's Raymond. Just returning your call. How you doing, man? Lucian asked. Ray could hear the smile in his voice. It was warm, but oddly painful to hear. Ray wanted happiness for his friend, but couldn't help the tight knot of envy in his chest. I'm okay. Diana and I are seeing a marriage counselor. Great. I was hoping you'd realize that what you have is too important to give up. Yeah. Plus, I want to make it work for the kids, Raymond said. What? What do you mean by that? Lucian's tone sharpened. I want to be a good father to Julia and Tim. I want them to know I'm here for them. If that means staying in a difficult marriage, then I'll do it. Man, that's ridiculous, Lucian snapped, his words hitting like a hammer. What are you even saying? What happens when you can't hide how you feel about Diana from Julia and Timmy? When you start resenting her and it seeps into what you say around them? That's not going to happen, Raymond replied, confused. And what if one day, without even meaning to, you say, if you kids weren't here, I'd leave and finally be happy? What then? Raymond's stomach dropped. Lucian, I'm not like. Don't say that. I'm sure other couples thought they were different, too. But it doesn't matter what you intend. Kids pick up on feelings more than facts. And when they do, they'll start to pull away. They won't want to be caught in the middle. And Ray, if there's no love left between you and Diana, then let it go. I don't care what your counselor says. End it before it breaks all of you. You can still be a father without living in the same house. It won't be easy, but they'll respect you more in the long run. Lucian paused, then added, his voice low and urgent, you're putting too much of a burden on your kids. That's not their job. No one, especially a child, should have to carry the weight of someone else's unresolved pain. Raymond had no response. He didn't have answers anymore. He could barely keep track of the questions. Okay, Lucian. Ray, do this because you love Diana, nothing more, nothing less. I'm sorry, man. I wasn't thinking. I'll try to reflect on what you said, Raymond conceded. The first anger session was rough. Diana came into the study the next evening after their session with Mick. She placed the kitchen timer on the desk, set it for 20 minutes, took a deep breath, and said, "Go ahead." "This is silly," Raymond muttered. "I can't just schedule when to be angry." Diana didn't respond. She just looked at him. "I guess we're going to sit here, staring at each other for 20 minutes. Still nothing. "Are the kids in bed?" he asked. She remained silent. Then she took a step closer. He instinctively stepped back. "I spoke to Lucian," Raymond said. She moved a little closer. This time, he didn't retreat. "Diana, say something. For heaven's sake, this is stupid." She looked at him again and gently placed a hand on his arm, letting her fingers trace along his forearm. "Don't touch me," he snapped, yanking his arm back. "Don't ever touch me again. You don't have that right." His voice cracked, harsh and angry. "You think you can betray me and then reach for me like nothing happened? You've torn our life apart, Diana. Say something. Anything," he demanded. "Did you talk to him the way you talked to me? Did you cry out for him? Did you beg?" "I'm angry, furious. Some mornings, the first thought in my head is that I wish I'd never met you. That I wish I had disappeared before any of this started. You want him? Then go to him. Go paint your way into oblivion. Get lost in your own world and leave me out of it." His voice was rising, his breathing shallow and ragged. "What else have you hidden? What else haven't you told me? Just tell me the kids are really mine while you're at it." You throw around the word, love. Do you even know what it means? Why is it always about your feelings, your pain? What about me? I gave up everything. Everything. And still, I was never enough. His voice faltered for a moment, the emotion nearly overwhelming him. "You lied and kept lying. All for what? Some other guy?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight him, to shake the truth out of him. How could you do this? I was working hard for us, for all of us. Diana stood silently, nodding, her lips tight and her hands trembling as she tried to hold herself together. "You never appreciated it," he continued. "You used to ask if I was okay, if I was sick. Yeah, I was sick of pretending everything was fine, of living the life you wanted without considering me. And now we've reached the final part of this triangle. I hate what our marriage has become. I hate what we've let it turn into." The timer dinged. Raymond collapsed into the chair, drained. His chest rose and fell heavily. Diana walked over to him, offering a faint, broken smile. Her eyes were red, glassy with unshed tears. She gave him a quick hug and whispered, "Saved by the bell. Easier than you thought, huh? Time just flies." She let him go and walked out the door slowly, her head bowed. She was likely trying hard not to run. Later, they sat in Mick's office. The older man looked up from his notes. "So, how did the anger sessions go?" Raymond hesitated and gave a faint smile. "I think it went well," Diana said softly. "Did you stick to it?" Mick asked. 2 sessions, 20 minutes a day?" "Yes, we did," Raymond replied. "And it felt good to say the things I needed to say," he admitted. "How was it for you, Diana?" Mick asked. "It was hard. It was horrible," she confessed. "I felt attacked. Then I felt hurt by how quickly he could find those words, by how deeply they cut. The questions he asked were personal, shocking. Too personal for your husband to ask?" Mick challenged gently. "That's when I realized something," she said, her voice low. "He has every right to ask. He's entitled to know how I feel. I also realized that I wasn't there to defend myself. I was there to listen, to sit with the pain I caused, to be grateful I was even allowed to be there. My place was to be the one who's sorry. It was my place to feel guilt and remorse, to listen to him vent, and to hear his anger and pain." "That's right, Diana," Mick agreed. "And Raymond, did you learn anything during the anger sessions?" "Yes," Raymond replied. "I learned that I am very angry, extremely angry. But it's all about the same core things, betrayal and how unfair it all feels. The betrayal of trust, of promises, of our physical and emotional connection. And how unfair it is that this happened to me. Hadn't I already been through enough? Wasn't I the one trying to hold it together?" "Excellent," Mick said. "Did you both hold your anger meetings even if there was nothing new to say?" They both nodded. "And Diana, did it get easier?" "Yes, Mick. It did get easier, but every once in a while, a word or comment would slip out that made me flinch. it could still be that bitter. That's sharp. Diana, you are not a bad person. You made a mistake. I want to be sure you understand that the whole point of the anger sessions is to allow Raymond a safe space to let go of that anger, to resolve it in a healthy way. But your marriage was already on shaky ground before the affair. Would you agree with that, Raymond? Yes, Raymond sighed. Good. Now, I think we're ready to move forward, Mick said. Mick, before we do, I need to mention a conversation I had with a friend, Raymond interjected. I told him I was doing the counseling for the sake of the kids, that Diana and I were trying to stay together just for them, and I was hoping to make it all bearable. Okay, Mick prompted. Raymond could feel Diana's stare tighten beside him, but he pushed on. My friend told me I was making a mistake, that staying together only for the kids would end up hurting everyone. He said Diana and I would be miserable, and eventually, Tim and Julia would be, too. That it puts too much weight on their shoulders to carry a broken marriage. Your friend is right, Mick said. Ultimately, you have to want to do this for yourselves. And right now, Raymond continued, I'm feeling less like I'm here only for Julia and Tim. Out of the corner of his eye, Raymond saw Diana staring straight ahead at a point just above Mick's head. Was she upset by his admission, or relieved? Very good, Mick said. Now, I hope each of you brought the list of what you want from each other, the wish lists. Raymond, the items you feel Diana needs to do to rebuild trust. Diana, same for you. Diana pulled her list from her purse. Raymond unfolded his from his pocket. Okay, we'll take turns reading one item at a time and talk about it. Raymond, you start. Raymond hesitated. Speaking in front of people wasn't new for him, but this mattered more than anything. I want Diana to never take another art class with the man from the affair. I can't stand the thought of him being part of her life again. Diana, is that something you can agree to? Mick asked. Yes. That's already done, she replied. Now you, Diana, Mick said. Mine may sound silly, but it matters to me. I want Raymond to play the guitar more. He always looked the most relaxed and happy when he played, and I want to see that again. Ray smiled. I don't have a guitar, but I can probably buy a cheap one. My second item, Raymond continued, is that I want Diana to call me every day, or at least let me call her. Yes, Raymond. I can do that, she nodded. I want us to talk after dinner. Not about the kids, about us. I want to hear about your day, and I want to share mine. I can do that, Diana said. I want you to never lie to me again. And I want you to keep your promises. I will, she said softly. I'll try my hardest to never lie again. Can you tell me about your childhood? Raymond asked. He paused, searching her eyes. He wanted to say yes. Someday, he said. Diana looked at Mick like she was waiting for a ruling. Diana, not everything will be possible right away, Mick said. Someday can mean next week. It can mean next Thursday at 7:14 a.m. But it's not never. That's what matters. Raymond, next item. Can I see your artwork? He asked gently. He studied her face. He saw her frown, the tension across her brow. She was clearly struggling. Someday I want to show them to you. I really do, she said. But I'm still scared. There's so much of me in those pieces. Ray started to speak, but Mick cut in with a soft, sing-song voice, slow and painful, but progress. I'm done with my list, Diana said. Same here, Raymond added. Then I want you to begin working on fulfilling your partner's wishes and continue adding to the list as new things come up. Before we wrap up for the week, it's question time. Diana, since Raymond started the list, you can go first. Ray, do you think we can share a bed again? Raymond's answer came fast. No. No intimacy, none. I just want you there beside me, not in the study. Diana, I'm not ready yet. Right now, it's too hard. You'd sleep with your back to me, clinging to the edge of the mattress like before. I wouldn't. Wouldn't because you truly wouldn't? Or because you feel you have to? Don't answer that. Not until I can trust what you say. Okay, Raymond, what's your question for Diana? Mick asked. Diana, it's been eating away at me. Ever since I found out. Was it better with Philio Marriott? Did he satisfy you in a way I couldn't? Diana's eyes widened. No, please don't think that. The only person I want now is you. It was exciting at first, but wrong and never real. The connection wasn't genuine. It was just an attempt to feel something. But it was empty. I never felt what I felt the last time we were together. That wasn't just physical, that was a celebration of us. You cared more about my happiness than your own. And all I wanted to do was please you. She paused. I remember it so clearly. I remember none of my time with him. You satisfy me in ways I didn't even know I needed. No one else ever has. And was he a better lover? Raymond whispered. She shook her head. He was using finger paints. You were painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. That's the best way I can explain it. There's no comparison. Daddy, why are you sleeping in the study? Tim asked later that week. Ray had known the question was coming. They were young, but they weren't clueless. And despite how he thought he was handling the stress, the early wake-ups were starting to show. He had been sitting quietly on the couch, wide awake, when Tim came in. Daddy's just having some alone time. Buddy, he said gently. Where's Mommy? Ray thought about telling him that alone time usually meant being, well, alone. But sarcasm would break about 100 parenting rules. She's in our room, he answered. Tim looked even more confused. Little kids often saw things as unbreakable pairs. Peanut butter and jelly. Chicken nuggets and ketchup. Mommy and Daddy. It was time to have a talk with both Tim and Julia. If Ray didn't explain it soon, Tim would ask Julia, and she would tell him what she thought was true. Sometimes, Timmy, Ray said softly, mommies and daddies need a little time to work things out. Just between them. Okay. Tim nodded. Okay. But he didn't look okay. Get ready for school. He watched the boys scamper out of the room. Raymond followed him, heading toward Diana's room. In reality, it was still their bedroom. He planned to grab the clothes he'd need for the day. Every morning, marching up the stairs searching for a suit was becoming more and more of a chore. It felt harder and harder. Maybe the fire in his belly wasn't burning as brightly as it once had, the fire of anger and betrayal. That fire had empowered him before. It made no task too great, no action too repetitive for him to perform if it meant avoiding her. Now, it wasn't so constant. And the way she looked asleep in the morning. Diana waking up was like a warm blanket in winter. The feeling was faint, but it was there. It was the feeling of wanting to climb back into bed and wrap her around himself while the snow fell outside the windows. He walked up the stairs and into the room. He gave up knocking. It felt strange to knock on his own bedroom door. Diana had even asked him not to do it. The knock made the distance between them feel all the more formal. Diana was awake and getting dressed. Her movements were hurried. She was probably running late getting the kids ready for school. Hi, she said. Hi, he replied with a smile. After 2 meetings with Mick and almost 2 weeks of daily anger sessions, even Raymond found it hard to stay angry all the time. The sessions had boiled down to one full ranting and venting session, followed by another of calm regret. Diana seemed to have more trouble with the calm regret, but she was holding up well. She rarely spoke and only gasped in shock every third or fourth session. So, do you have a hard day today? Diana asked. No, jam-packed in the morning, some case review in the afternoon. But I plan to grab lunch today. Might as well try to force some normalcy back. Heading to Polly's. She asked wistfully, really? No, actually, I was planning to get the guitar today. It's something I promised you I would get. Really? Today? Could I come with you? She asked nervously. He wanted to say no. His pride said he should. It insisted he say no just to spite her. If you want, I can swing by and pick you up. Are you going to be here? He asked. I promise, she replied solemnly. He looked at her, trying to see the pulse throbbing against the skin of her neck. He was searching for the telltale signs of a lie on her flesh. He found none, only a sincere need to be believed. I'll be here then. Diana was waiting for him in the driveway when he pulled up. She was almost in the car before it came to a complete stop. Her seatbelt clicked, and her fingers curled tightly into the seat. She had settled herself as firmly as she could, as if expecting that he might either speed away without her or toss her out of the moving car. She looked at him and said, I'm ready. I can see that, he responded softly. She flushed a little pink, either from embarrassment or maybe, just maybe, because she was pleased that Raymond was teasing her a little. Where are we going? She asked after a while. To an old music shop. I know, but this is the way to the zoo. Almost. The shop is in my old neighborhood. Is it still there? Diana asked. Yep, I called to check. It's still there. I wanted to see if they had a guitar I'd like. I want a cheap one until I decide if I want to continue. Will there be cheap ones there? Yes, there should be. In that neighborhood, it's very common to trade your dreams for something to eat. So there will probably be a large collection of second-hand guitars, Raymond said. The houses went from nice to not so nice very quickly. The fancy eateries and trendy stores gave way to struggling boutiques and corner marts selling alcohol to anyone with a $20 bill. Beyond that, the boutiques disappeared, and every other building seemed condemned. There are a lot of abandoned buildings here, Diana commented. They may be condemned, but chances are people still live in them. What? Homeless people, drug users, gangsters, runaways? Some or all of them are probably living in those houses. People live like that? That's so sad. The store they arrived at was in sad shape. Raymond didn't remember it ever looking this bad. Either his memories were kind, or the years had been cruel. He walked in after holding the door open. There was no one else in the place. It smelled just as he remembered, like an old library, musty, dusty, full of history. Raymond and Diana took a minute to look around. They watched the guitars hanging on one wall, then turned to the brass instruments on another, tenor and alto saxophones placed next to a baritone, and even a tuba. Several trumpets and a couple of trombones hung nearby. Another wall held numerous clarinets adjacent to a handful of violins, violas, and banjos. In the back of the store, a couple of drum sets were set up, along with several keyboards. No grand pianos or uprights. The man who came out from the back when the doorbell chimed wore a familiar face. He was an old, grizzled guy who looked like a slimmer Archie Bunker. Raymond seemed to recall he looked the same a decade ago. "What can I do for you folks?" the man asked. "I'm interested in a guitar," Raymond replied. "What kind?" "Electric, bass." "I'm thinking of a medium-entry acoustic electric." "Any particular kind?" "Do you have any Ovations?" Raymond asked. "We may have one or two. I'll warn you, they run a couple $100, the man said. "That's fine," Diana interjected. Raymond shot her a look. It was more than he wanted to spend. "I wanted you to get one, so I'll pay," she said firmly. The man went to the back and came back with a dark guitar with a sunburst finish. He handed it to Raymond, who held it gently, cradling it like a baby. He ran his fingers over the strings. The guitar hummed. He picked it up and held the neck loosely in his hand. "Do you have a strap or someplace I can sit?" Raymond asked. The man gestured to a stool. "It may be a little out of tune." "That's okay." Ray grabbed a cheap plastic pick and headed to the stool. He let muscle memory guide him. He sat and started strumming a simple practice tune, a lively piece most beginners could play. He then shifted into a Beatles song, closing his eyes as he savored the sound. He forgot Diana was there. This was for him, not anyone else. This was something he needed to do for himself. "You're very good," the man said, seeming reluctant to offer a compliment for free. "Yes, he is," Diana answered for him. "Well, do you like it?" the store owner asked. "Very much, but it is a little more than I wanted to spend," Raymond tried to say. "We'll take it," Diana said firmly. She opened her purse and brought out the cash. "Do you want a case or a gig bag for it?" the man asked. "We'll take the case," she replied. She paid the man, hefted the filled guitar case over to Raymond, and handed it to him. "Thank you," he said quietly. He was almost afraid to take it. It was too fragile a thing for him to hold. It seemed to represent so much. As they started to drive back, Raymond turned to her and asked, "Are you crazy carrying that much cash in this neighborhood?" "I didn't know where we were heading, plus I don't have much cash left." They were quiet for a moment before Diana said, "I hope you know that I'm not trying to buy you. I'm not trying to buy your affections or buy my way back into your good graces." "I didn't think so." "Well, no, I wondered, but I dismissed it. I thought and hoped you were just trying to help me keep my promise, and that you were trying to be kind. You were trying to make me happy." "Yes, thank you. If I thought I could buy your affection, I don't know if I'd be above trying." "But I know I can't," Diana said. "Since we're in your old neighborhood, is there anything else you want to see?" Ray thought for a moment. After so many years trying to get away from this place, not much could pull the three of them back here except for poor Chuck. There was no escaping it for him. "Chuck," Diana said. "What?" Raymond asked, surprised she would mention his name. "I was saying, isn't your friend Chuck buried here?" "Yes." "Why don't we stop and pay our respects?" "You said you wanted to." "Why not do it?" "Nah, we'll do it another day." "Too many things wait for another day, Raymond. Let's just go. It'll help you." "No, someday. Someday I'll come back." "No." I accepted someday as an answer before. "I won't now. It's too important. Please, let's go. Let's put something to rest for you. There are too many things in our past that shadow our present. Let's put one thing to rest. Now. Today. Please," Diana begged. Ray looked at her and gave a quick nod. "Can you call Lucian and ask him where the grave is?" Raymond asked. After hanging up her cell phone, she looked at what she had written on a piece of paper and said, "Got it." Ray drove to the cemetery near the zoo. They walked to the site and found it easier than expected. It was the neatest grave in the place. The flowers looked fresh and vibrant. His parents probably visited regularly. They likely found some solace being with their son. Ray looked at the marker, "Beloved son." Diana put a hand on his arm. There was a time, not long ago, when he would have flung her hand away. That was not the case anymore, at least for now. Are you going to say something? Diana asked. Like what? Talk to him? He's dead, Raymond said. Yes, but some part of him is still here. What should I say? Raymond asked sharply. How much you miss him? Miss him, Diana? He's gone. He can't hear how much I miss him. I'm talking to a pile of dirt that I miss it. That's all he is now, fertilizer for these flowers. I should be here, not him. He should have been the one to go on and get married and have kids, not me. He would know what to do with them. He would know how to love them and keep them safe from harm. He would protect what was his. A woman would know to love him beyond any other. That's the kind of man he would have been. I can't even cry over him. I feel everything. It churns in my stomach. There's an ache in my chest. But I can't seem to cry. Why can't I cry, Diana? Why can't I? If anyone deserves tears, it's Chuck. If any world should mourn the loss of someone so good, it's this one. And I can't even force myself to squeeze out a drop. The well is dry. Ray, stop it. Please stop. She was crying. He reached over and wet his fingers on the tears running down her cheeks. He rubbed them against his own eyes, trying to remember what it felt like. Ray, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be alive, and you deserve someone who will love you and care about you above anyone else. I hope and pray that someone is me. Please, God, let it be me. I am so sorry I ever put anyone above you. To say I didn't would be a lie, but it was a stupid mistake, and I know I will pay for it forever. I know how much these things hurt you. You keep it inside. I used to think you didn't feel much, but you feel too much. You hold on to this pain, the pain of losing people. You lock it in that vault you call a heart. You need to learn to let it go. He was such a good friend. He would offer his home as a haven to all of us. I would hide out there, not caring that it would be worse when I finally got home. I could deal with the pain. I'm good at dealing with bruises and cuts. But not this. He's gone. He's gone. It's like Lucian or Jim passing. My brother is gone, and all I can do is shout about it, pound on my chest, and rant some more. Diana hugged him. He stood wooden in her embrace, his arms at his sides, his eyes cast downward. Ray continued, Chuck, I wish I could water your flowers with tears. I wish I could fall to my knees and sob, but I don't know how. I can't. All I can promise is that in the place where I lock everything away, there will be a space for you. It will hold my memories of the good and the ache of the bad, and it will stay there probably until I die. You were the best of all of us. When you died, even hell should have mourned your passing. Ray turned within her arms and stepped back toward the car. Diana followed closely. You'll probably hate me for saying this, she said, but I'm glad he's there instead of you. I'm grateful you're alive and with me, not in the ground. I need you around. And I know you aren't ready to hear this, but I have to say it. Raymond, I love you. I love you so much more than I ever thought possible to love anyone. So much more than the pride that wants me to walk away and hide my shame. I'm glad you're you, and you're the father to our children. There will come a day when you'll be able to let some of these things go. Let them go once and for all. Ray looked at her. She was crying for him, crying because he couldn't cry for himself. He touched her face softly and smiled. A quick, fleeting smile. Let's go home, was all he said. Julia, we need to talk, Diana said to the girl before she could slip away to her room. We'll talk after Timmy goes to bed, Raymond whispered to Diana and Julia. The two adults worked together getting the kids ready for bed. They read Timmy his story and tucked him in. How come Julia gets to stay up later? Tim asked with a pout. Because we need to talk to her, Diana responded. Is she in trouble? No, she's not. Now, no more questions, time to sleep, Raymond said firmly. The little boy started to speak again. No buts. I don't want to hear anything else from you until tomorrow, Raymond replied. Timmy was angry but settled down. They found Julia waiting for them on the couch in the living room. They walked over and turned off the TV. Julia, we spoke with your principal, Diana said. Why? I'm doing better, Julia responded. Well, that's not what we heard, Raymond added. It's not about your behavior or your grades. They're worried about you, Diana said. They said you seemed a little up and down lately. Do you know what that means? Julia shook her head. It means you seem happy one day, then sad for a couple days, Raymond explained. Oh, the little girl said. I guess you and Timmy found me sleeping in the study. Julia nodded. So, what are you feeling? Diana asked. I'm scared, Mommy, Julia said, her bottom lip trembling. Of what, sweetie? Raymond asked. That you and Mommy are going to get divorced. You were fighting. Now you're sleeping in different rooms. Next, you'll move out, like other kids' dads do before their parents get divorced. Ray and Diana looked at each other and nodded. Julia, somehow you became so mature when we weren't looking. Your father and I are trying to work through some problems that are personal to mommies and daddies. I can't promise we won't get divorced, but I can promise we're trying to fix things so we don't, Diana said. Fix it? Julia asked. Yes. When your grandmother comes over to watch you and Timmy, Mommy and I go to see a doctor who helps people with marriage problems, Raymond explained. What problems do you have? Can I help? Julia asked. No, honey. It's personal stuff that only Mommy and Daddy can figure out, Diana said. So, you're seeing a doctor? Yes. When will you get better? We don't know yet, but we're trying. Raymond stated honestly, okay. Now, it's a grown-up secret. That means it's not something you can tell Timmy or your friends about. Timmy is too young to understand, and it's something Mommy and Daddy don't want anyone else to know. Okay, Daddy. I know you're still going to have your ups and downs, but we want you to know that you don't need to worry about us. We're trying to fix everything, Diana said. Okay, I'll try too. They took turns hugging her and helping her off to bed. We'll be up to tuck you in a couple of minutes, Raymond said. They watched her walk away. How did we get so lucky? Raymond asked. That's exactly it. We're just lucky, and we work at it. To make sure she isn't as mixed up as her mommy and daddy, Diana said with a deep laugh. Diana, do you ever wonder what it could have been like if none of the bad things ever happened to us? Raymond asked. Do you wonder how strong it could have been? Lucian and Jennifer would have envied us. It still makes me sad. It still makes me angry. But I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being sad, Diana said, continuing her reflection. I still hate him. I never want to think of him again. I can't think of the two of you together without feeling sick. We could have been everything to each other. The two of us would have been back to back, taking on the world. You and I, standing on the line of the present, one eye on the past, the other on the future, ready to face anything that came at us. In the month that followed their visit to Chuck's grave, Raymond's angry bouts of regret grew more frequent. The rage was still there, but it no longer dominated his thoughts as heavily. He wasn't sure when it started. He didn't know which session with Mick convinced Diana, but she began holding him for the entire 20 minutes. She would sit next to him, wrap her arms around him, and sometimes rest her head on his shoulder. It took a little getting used to at first. She still didn't say a word, just held him and let him say what he needed to say. Sometimes he thought of hugging her back, but he wasn't ready for that yet. I'm pleased with how well this is going, Mick said. Both Raymond and Diana smiled. I'm still having trouble sleeping. I sleep fine, but every now and then I'll startle awake, Raymond admitted. Is it like one of those falling dreams? Mick asked. No. 1 minute I'm asleep, the next it's like a jolt, and I'm up. Is there a thought that wakes you? No. Other than, why the heck am I awake? Raymond replied. How often? Mick continued. Well, I can't really say for sure, but it's not as bad as before. Okay, Raymond. You still sleep in your study, right? Raymond nodded. Well, I want you to start keeping a journal. Let's track how often these episodes happen. I may ask you to talk to your doctor and maybe do some tests to make sure the cause isn't physical. In the journal, write down the date, time, and what you were thinking about. Also note anything you think is important. Was it storming outside? Were your children already up and making noise? Let's try to figure out how outside factors might affect you. Even if you had burritos for dinner when you usually don't. Anything and everything. Okay, Mick, Raymond agreed. I'll keep the journal right by my bed or wherever I'm sleeping. Ray nodded. Okay. In the last 2 or 3 sessions, we talked about your visit to Chuck's grave. We also discussed Diana and her struggles with her father leaving. How's the guitar playing going, Raymond? Really well. I'm playing a little every day. The guitar Diana bought me is very good. It doesn't have a lot of soul, but it's very forgiving. Raymond laughed a little self-consciously. A lot of soul? Yeah. I'd love to have an old, beautiful wooden guitar one day. I read somewhere that new guitars have no memory and no soul. They're like newborns. I'd love to someday play something that's been loved and cared for. Wouldn't you want your own new guitar to pour your memories into? What did you say? Mick scanned his notes. To pour your own memories and soul into. I don't think I'd want anything that I could pour my memories into, Raymond said. Why did you give up playing guitar? The doctor asked. It stopped being important, Raymond responded. You told me you hurt your hand, Diana interjected. Well, which is it, Raymond? Aren't you tired of dancing around the truth? Mick said with a smirk. You're hopping around trying to say everything and nothing. I'm not a mind reader. And do you magically expect Diana to be one? It was an injury. I broke a finger. How? Mick pressed. It's a long story. Good thing we almost have 45 minutes left. It was an argument with my father. He got angry. I was older then. He swung a bat at me. I dodged it, but it just nicked my hand. Raymond said it coldly, without emotion. He had replayed so much of his life in his head, trying different scenarios. What if I'd told the old man what he wanted to hear? What if I'd hit him first? What if I'd moved left instead of right? So many what-ifs, and it all came down to the same thing. The past was the past, and it couldn't be changed. Ray heard Diana sigh as she looked at him. Mick asked, "Was that the worst you've got?" Ray didn't want to answer. He felt backed into a corner. They expected a lie. They were pushing him to tell the truth. They thought they could handle it. Fine. He'd give them what they wanted. No, it was worse when I was younger, Raymond spat. Like what? Diana asked quietly. What happened to you? She finished in a soft voice. You've seen it. The odd freckles in a line. Like Orion's belt, I think you said. A good, strong jab with a sharp fork into a 12-year-old's body can do that. The scar on his back was from a thin, strong whip-like stick, supple and biting like a knife, and a broken nose. He could see Diana out of the corner of his eye. She was watching him closely, trying to see through his shirt. Her hand was raised, almost reaching toward him. Her eyes seemed to glisten, even from where he sat. I guess it was bad. I wondered if you were hurt, but I never knew how badly, she said. Was your father punished for this? Mick asked. He was a drunk. Not a stupid drunk. Once the school called to ask about my broken nose when I was 10, it scared him. That's when the hits and beatings happened below the neck. I was the only kid wearing long-sleeve shirts and jeans in the middle of summer. There were always accidents. He was sorry. Always sorry, Raymond said quietly with a bitter smile. Have you been counseled for this? Mick asked. That's why I was seeing Liz. Dr. Elizabeth Austin. I know her. She's very good. Why did you stop seeing her? Well, at that time, Diana and I started coming to see you, and my interest in Liz was getting too personal. Ray felt Diana stiffen beside him. How so? Mick asked carefully. She is a beautiful, intelligent woman. I was lonely and miserable and had just learned that my wife had an affair. I started wondering if maybe there was someone else out there who could love me, and Diana realized that wasn't in my best interest. She also felt my attraction to Liz would jeopardize my progress, so she recommended you. Okay, so nothing came of that? Mick questioned. No, nothing at all except a deep respect for someone exceptional in your profession, Raymond replied. This is the first time Diana has heard about the physical abuse you suffered as a child. Yes. So what long-term impact do you think those experiences have had on your personality now? I learned to protect myself. I learned that I needed to avoid getting too angry or too happy because that would set him off. I learned that I had to hide everything I liked. He could be a mean drunk and break things just because he knew I cared about them. I learned that I didn't want to be like him. I learned that crying didn't always make him stop. That he could say, I love you, son, in the morning when he was sober, and it would mean absolutely nothing. Mick looked at him intently. This explains so much, Raymond. What does it explain, Mick? Raymond asked. Because it never made any sense to me. Not then, and certainly not now. You're going to say that's why you're cold and distant, scared to feel, always protecting yourself, which is probably not news to you. It's probably news to Diana, Mick replied. I guess, Raymond conceded. But why didn't I make him stop? Explain that. How weak am I? You were just a little guy, Diana whispered. Just a little guy like our Timmy, just like our Julia. And Mom, why didn't she leave him sooner? Raymond asked. Maybe she was scared, Mick said. Oh, she was plenty scared. She got hurt almost as much as I did. But why did she finally leave and not take me with her? Raymond said bitterly. When did that happen? Mick asked. I was 16 before she got smart enough to go. Have you heard from her since? No, not a single word. How about your father? The last time I saw him was when he broke my finger. I haven't seen him in a decade. You both should probably see a counselor who specializes in alcohol abuse. Maybe look into Al-Anon, Mick said to both of them. Raymond, this explains so much. This is a breakthrough. I don't know if you'll recognize it right now, but it is. We're coming to the end for today. Diana, what's your question for Raymond? It's probably not different from last time, but ask anyway, she said, looking at Raymond longingly. Can we share a room again? I just don't know if we can, Raymond said, half lost in a flood of unwanted memories. It was time for their last anger session of the day. Diana sat on her side of the couch, pressing the start button on the timer. She was ready to hear Raymond talk about the sadness or rage. She waited. Her arms were poised to wrap around him. She waited. She looked at him questioningly. I don't have it in me today, he said. I'm empty right now. Just plain empty. I feel ashamed. Ashamed? He repeated. It took her a second or two to respond. Raymond realized she was hesitant to break the rules of the game. Why do you feel ashamed? She finally asked. I always wonder if I should have been stronger. I should have found a way to stop him from hurting me. And I definitely should have found a way to stop him from hurting Mom. I used to be so scared of him. So scared of what he would do. He hurt me before. He could hurt me again. I should have realized that the pain would have been temporary if it meant saving Mom from him. But she got out. Ray, you were just a little boy then. He was a grown man. Imagine Julia trying to fight off a grown man. As chilling as that is to think about, that's what you would have faced. You did nothing to be ashamed of. You were perfect. You did what you had to do to survive. Her voice broke. It hurts my heart to think that anyone would hurt you like that. Bet someone would take out his own anger and frustration on his innocent child. I want to find him for you. I want to find him and make him pay. He looked at her calmly. She was serious. He's probably long gone. His liver ate him alive. If there's a God, his liver should have swallowed him whole. Did Lucian and Jim know? They probably guessed. So many people guessed, but I never asked for help. I never told anyone. I was humiliated for being so scared and weak. Do you know how many times in the beginning I got hurt so bad I wet myself? How pathetic is that? Not at all. You are the strongest man I know, Diana said. She reached out and brushed his hair back with her fingertips. So strong that you realize a child is a fragile thing. You understand that when it comes to your own kids, it's time to forgive the little boy in the past. He expected himself to flinch. It never came. Don't you want to find your mom? Diana asked. No. She left. She got out. She escaped. Let her enjoy her freedom from me and from him and from the past. I was so angry with her for leaving me. But I'm tired of being angry. Angry with the past. Let her go. Let her live her life without regrets. You're a fool if you think that's what she's doing. She's probably wondering where you are. Wondering what you're doing. You're her son. She probably misses you so much. How can she be a mother and not? She's probably fighting her own shame. Maybe she was a drinker too. She's never tried to find me, Raymond said. Find you and say what? Raymond? My life turned out okay once I abandoned you to your father. She must think you hate her. I don't. I'm so tired of hating. I have nothing. All those secrets I kept inside, they kept me going. They kept me strong. Now I have nothing, he said, his shoulders drooping and his head slumped low. You have everything. You don't need your secrets anymore. You have Tim and Juliet to keep you strong. You have your friends. You have your work. You have music. And you have me, she said defiantly. You have me to keep you strong. You have me to lean on when you need it. He couldn't think of anything to say. All the words seemed desperately inadequate. The insults were gone. The loving words were almost too tight to speak. Thank you, he finally said. He leaned in and hugged her tightly, drawing strength from her, squeezing until he felt steady enough to hold himself upright. So tell me about Liz, she whispered against his neck. Liz, Raymond replied. Yes, Dr. Liz. It was nothing, Diana. She's a great lady. Really special. Someone is going to be lucky enough to have her in his life one day. I hope he doesn't blow it. Well, she sounds. Diana trailed off, lost for words. She is. Nothing happened between us. It never did. It never would. She was kind to me by listening when I needed it. So you don't want to leave me, us, and go to her? She questioned weakly. No. It was just a flight of fancy. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be. Ray got ready for bed. He was putting on his boxers when he heard crying. He put on his robe and walked upstairs. He definitely heard more crying. He followed the sound. Passing by his bedroom, he heard the water running. Diana was showering. Then he realized the crying was coming from Tim's room. He knocked and opened the door, seeing the little boy sitting up, crying as loudly as he could. Timmy, what's wrong? The boy didn't say a word, just kept crying. Does your tummy hurt? Raymond asked. The boy shook his head and cried more. Are you feeling sick? Another shake and louder crying. Was it a bad dream? The sobbing paused long enough for the boy to croak out a yes. Ray sat on the edge of the bed and pulled the little boy close. Tell me about it, Raymond said. Monsters were trying to get me. Really? Raymond said. Yes. They were mean. Were they as big as Mommy and Daddy? Raymond asked. The boy nodded. Did you know Mommy and I are excellent monster hunters? You are? Do you know what a monster hunter does? Raymond asked. No, Tim replied. We protect kids from monsters. That's one of our most important jobs. You do? Oh, yeah. We had to take a class for it. We're some of the best monster hunters around. We're stronger, smarter, and faster than any monster. And you know what else? Tim shook his head. Since you are our son, that makes you even stronger, faster, and smarter than Mommy and Daddy. You're even better at stopping monsters than we are. I am. Timmy asked. Oh, yeah. So, do you think you need to be scared of any monsters? No, the boy said timidly. Do you need to be scared of any little monsters when you are so strong and brave, and Mommy and Daddy are here to help you? Raymond asked again, with a bit more insistence. No, Tim's voice was strong this time. The 4-year-old snuggled against his father. Raymond tightened his arms around his son. He held him close as the boy rested his head and nestled into his father's chest. Raymond hummed a gentle lullaby. Tim whispered, "And I love you, Daddy," before falling asleep as quickly as only children can. Raymond felt arms encircling him. Diana held her husband and son tightly. "I love you too, Daddy," she repeated. She touched his cheeks and traced a finger down the right side of his face. Her finger came away damp. "One is a start," she whispered. Raymond moved out of her embrace and gently settled the boy back onto the bed. He pulled the covers over him and turned to find Diana waiting for him in the hallway outside Timmy's door. Raymond walked over, took her hand in his, and pulled her inside their bedroom. He dropped his robe and pulled her onto the bed with him. He held her there, in the middle of the bed. She lay quietly, probably afraid to say a word, afraid to break the spell. "Just to sleep," Raymond said, closing his eyes and sinking into the softness of the mattress. "Sleep," he said again. "Do you ever wonder where she is right now?" Diana asked. He responded. "Your mom. Do you ever wonder where she is? Do you know, since Mick asked, that I've tried to keep a journal of my weird wake-up calls? I haven't had one. Do you think it was some psychologist trick? Probably not. Maybe you just needed to get back to sleeping in your own bed again." Nice change of subject, by the way. For 2 weeks now, Raymond had abandoned sleeping in the study and was sleeping in their bedroom again. That was all it was. But it seemed enough. They almost rushed to bed after the kids were asleep, just for the pleasure of talking to each other, really talking to each other. You think that's why? It could be that, or so many other reasons. Maybe there was a weird crease in the couch that pinched a nerve in your neck, which stimulated your adrenal glands, and lo and behold, you were awake and ready to face the day. That's as good a suggestion as any I've heard. At least you didn't say it was the ghost of Elvis. I'm grateful for that. Raymond smirked. Now, about your mother. What about her? Were we talking about her? Do you wonder what happened to her? I think she ran off to Switzerland and is currently a world-class alpine yodeler. Quit joking. I'm being serious, Raymond. I don't want to be serious. Maybe she's in a hot spring in Iceland with some guy named Stefan or Bjorn. So, you don't wonder? I didn't say that. Would it be easier to think that she's a struggling woman, scraping soda cans together to buy a liter of something, nickels overflowing the bowl of her hands? Or dead in a grave, 2 to the left and 1 over from Chuck, so close I could hear an earthworm feasting, but far enough away that I didn't bother to look? Why can't she be the head gardener for the Rose Garden at the White House? They were lying on their backs, staring at the ceiling, talking as words drifted like clouds in the sky. She turned to her side to face him, her face cupped in her palm as her elbows supported her head. He glanced over and watched the thoughtful look cross her face. Her chin wrinkled as her lips pursed, then she flopped back onto the bed. My dad is the weight guesser for a small traveling carnival that only goes to states starting with the letter A or N. My mom is the head elf supervisor for Santa. You do know elves have become troublemakers since they formed a union. Tricky, tricky elves. My dad is the official eyeball and nostril cleaner at Mount Rushmore, Diana said triumphantly. Oh, good one. Raymond was impressed. Maybe my mom is living with some guy who supposedly has a high-level job ensuring that the leaders of the country can breathe easy as they watch world events unfold. Your mom and my dad? Diana gasped. It seems oddly coincidental that both our parents are. Am I a good theorist now? Hey, sis. W. Don't call me that. Your theory is just like you, Mr. Full of Nonsense, she teased, laughing. My mom is the mascot for a AA baseball team in a small southern town. The team is called the Love Lemmings. She ends every game by diving off the right field wall into a freshwater pool full of guppies. Raymond laughed quietly to himself. Diana joined him, giggling until her sides hurt. Maybe, she paused to catch her breath, Maybe my father is the male model for the San Francisco Ballet Company. All the other men stuff their leotards to try to match his impressive profile. Hey, I thought that was my job. Raymond gasped indignantly, tears of laughter springing to his eyes. They chuckled for a couple more minutes, finally calming down in case their laughter woke the kids. That's the kind of crying I don't mind doing. Now, isn't that better than thinking that my mom is making minimum wage as a greeter at Walmart, where she buys a 12-pack of tuna for that mysterious cat she claims exists, but no one ever sees? Yes, I guess it is. Until we know for sure. I don't have to think that there's a man in a padded room, a man they keep sedated because he has delusions about a wife and daughter that everyone else knows are make-believe. Maybe we'll find them both one day after we've found ourselves, Raymond finished softly. Diana scooted closer to him. She turned onto her side and fell toward Raymond, placing her head on his shoulder, resting against him. They lay there silently, Raymond holding her tight until her breathing fell into a steady rhythm and she drifted to sleep. They held hands for a minute or two, continuing even as Mick entered the office. He looked at them and beamed a big smile. So, how is my favorite couple doing? He asked. Great, Diana answered first. Really good, Raymond replied. Excellent. So, I take it you guys are still sharing a bed? He asked. Excellent, he said again as they nodded. How are the anger sessions going? I need to talk about that, Mick. Sometimes it's hard to work up enough anger, Raymond answered. Oh, so you're not haunted by visions of Diana and her lover in bed? Mick teased, tossing a verbal grenade. Diana's grip loosened on Raymond's hand. She wanted to pull away, hide her hand in her lap. Raymond tightened his grip and gave her hand 3 reassuring squeezes. Not haunted. The anger isn't always standing at attention anymore. Sometimes I see or think of something and the memories come rushing back, and I feel the rage build. I know what she did was wrong. If it happens again, we'll be done. But the hate and fury aren't the only things between Diana and me. And there are times now when I don't feel angry because dwelling on that part of the past isn't worth it to me. Does that make sense? Perfect. If possible, Mick's smile grew bigger. Let's cut back to once every 2 days. And if you still have trouble working up the anger, then we'll go to once every 4 days, then once a week, then only when needed. And do you know what only when needed means? It's normally. It's a normal exchange between a husband and wife. How does that sound? Great, Diana said again. Really good, Raymond followed. Ray, how are those dreams of yours? The counselor asked. Fine. I've been tracking them for a couple of weeks, and I still haven't had one. Do you think I should still keep my appointment with my primary care physician? Oh, no. Don't bother with that. And how about we put the log aside unless it starts happening again? Okay. What about the physical intimacy? Mick asked. Ray looked at him, and then glanced at Diana. She met his gaze for a second before looking back at Mick. Well, we haven't, she stammered, blushing. We felt that the timing wasn't right, Raymond said. Diana, do you feel an attraction toward Raymond? Yes, very much so. Ray, do you feel an attraction to Diana? Yes, completely, Raymond answered. Diana, is your attraction for him greater than your guilt? Raymond, is your attraction for her greater than your reservations? Mick asked. They looked at each other. Somewhere during the conversation, their hands had slipped apart and fallen to their sides. I think we are, Diana said. Do you know how you can find out? Mick asked rhetorically. Try it. Before they could say anything else, Mick continued. Don't wait for the perfect day when you'll be as innocent as a baby, Diana, without any anger or bitterness. Raymond, that day will never come. The affair will always be a part of who you are, but only one part, a small part. Your togetherness is so much more than the sum of those parts, especially the small ones. It will never completely go away. The rain clouds won't part, and the sun won't shine on a golden bed in the middle of a vineyard, a bed with a halo around it so you can cuddle like rabbits sipping wine at the source. If you're expecting that, you'll both be sadly disappointed. Just try one day when the mood strikes you. If it doesn't work out, we'll try again another day. Raymond and Diana stared at him for a moment. Raymond realized then that he had been waiting for that perfect evening, a night when he could touch her without a single thought of fellow Marriott crossing his mind. But that might never happen. Okay, just think about it. Mick conceded in the face of their silence. Now, as far as wishes, where do we stand, Diana? Mick asked. I couldn't think of one for today. I tried. Really, I did, she said with a laugh. What about you, Raymond? Just my usual, Raymond said, looking at her, hoping she'd respond with something hopeful. Ray was finishing up the work he had left on the computer. As he waited for the PC to finally shut down, his mind drifted back to earlier that evening. Dinner had been lighthearted. They joked and teased as a family. It was nice to hear that kind of laughter in their house. Tim and Julia were camped out on the couch in the living room. They were both probably hoping their half hour of TV would magically stretch longer. They groaned when Diana clicked the power button on the remote, turning off the TV screen. "Come on, you two. Time for bed," Diana said. But Tim replied, But nothing. "You heard your mother." "Honey, what should we do with these two crazy kids?" Raymond said. The look on her face was like a symphony to a blind man. Her smile was as wide and curved as an overfilled hammock strung between two trees. It was so inviting, like the softness of a summer breeze. I don't know, dear. I just don't know," Diana said, her voice breaking just a little. They weren't nearly as subtle as they thought. Julia looked at the two of them and grinned. She put her hand on Tim's shoulder and said, "Okay, let's go, Timmy." "What?" Timmy replied, outraged that his comrade in arms had turned on him. "I'll tell you upstairs," Julia said. They waited until the kids had left. "Ray," Diana began. "Diana, we'll talk later. I need to finish up some work. Do you think you can get the kids to bed tonight?" He smiled, and she nodded before heading upstairs. After the PC finally stopped its soft humming and chirping, Raymond walked toward his bedroom. No longer would the study be his escape from a lonely marriage, he vowed as he climbed the stairs two at a time. "Diana," he called quietly. "Diana," he said again when he heard no answer. Then he saw the note sitting on the bed. "Meet me in the attic. Love, Diana." The paper trembled in his shaking hand as he held it between his thumb and index finger. He walked up to the attic. There were no candles lit, only the bright overhead light. He saw her standing there, her weight shifting nervously from leg to leg. "Julia told Timmy that we are not getting divorced," Diana said. "She really is too smart for her own good," Raymond said with a chuckle. "I guess there was still one last wish that needed to be granted. Thank you. Please always be kind." She took his hand and led him over to her little studio area. "I would love to take you up on that offer of a real studio," Diana said, trying to make conversation. "Okay." She showed him her first canvas. It was of the kids playing. The style was beautiful, a little impressionistic, but with a clear touch of Art Nouveau. The colors and depth amazed Raymond. He thought he could almost hear her voice behind the painting, but he was completely absorbed by the picture. Next, he grunted in appreciation. He saw a portrait of Jeanette. So much was expressed on the woman's face. The lines spoke volumes of sadness and loss. But in her eyes, with the play of light and texture, or something magical, Raymond saw hope. He blinked and focused on her eyes again. There was nothing at first. Then, blinking once more, he looked back, and as if by some spell or charm not of this world, hope was looking back at him from Jeanette's eyes. Again, he croaked softly. He repeated that feeling with each painting. He felt like crying when he saw the last one. It was a picture of a little girl. Her clothes were worn, her doll tattered and patched. She sat on the floor playing, while her mother sat behind her gently braiding her hair. The scene carried an air of innocence, until you noticed the girl's faint frown and the tension in her mother's pursed lips. There was a quiet sense of loss visible on Jeanette's face, and almost tangible in little Diana's expression. Then Raymond saw it, the tipped-over empty glass on the table and the open door behind them, leading into a deep, haunting darkness. A shade of black he never knew existed, one that felt like sorrow itself. "Diana, these are phenomenal. I can't tell you what I'm feeling. I think I'm shaking. These are magic. Absolutely magic. I'm blown away, just speechless. I don't know what else to say. I love them all. You have a talent that's indescribable. It's not just the pictures, it's what I feel when I see them." Her cheeks glowed. "So, you like them?" she asked. "No. I like sushi. I like snow. I love this. I'm overwhelmed by it. You should be in a gallery. This should all be in a museum or something. We need to build you a studio. No, we need to build you your own gallery." She laughed, her face beaming with happiness. "There's one more." She stepped away, then returned, placing the final painting in view. Raymond felt his knees nearly give out. "I call it the passion of a kiss, Raymond." The artwork resembled Klimt's style but was entirely unique. It was them, Diana and Raymond. Eyes closed, heads tilted, lips deep red. Raymond leaning in, his hands cradling her shoulder and the back of her head. Her hand resting gently over his, preserving her modesty. His familiar features, his broken nose, the scar on his shoulder, were unmistakable. It was him kissing her, loving her, and he was crying. Tears streamed down his face, falling onto hers, merging as they trickled over their clasped hands. But how? Raymond's voice was raw as genuine tears slipped from his eyes. Why? His legs trembled, his hands shook, and his vision blurred. I searched for the passion in Klimt's work, Diana whispered, her voice thick with emotion. And I found it. It was always with you, Raymond. He turned to her, feeling vulnerable, as if stripped of all defenses. I confessed to Mick. He knew, Diana said, her voice unsteady. Those dreams, they were because of me. I've been watching you, studying you. I wanted to capture you, your essence, so I could paint you right. I would sneak into the study while you were asleep and take photos of you. He remained silent, opening his arms to her. She stepped forward, her body trembling against his. He pressed a kiss to her cheek, unconsciously mirroring the painting behind them. Again and again, he kissed her, then gently cradled her face in his hands and kissed her lips. She wrapped her arms around his neck, holding him close as if afraid to let go. He whispered her name over and over. Diana, Diana, my love. She pulled him closer, their foreheads touching. Raymond, she whispered. My Raymond. Their connection deepened, a silent understanding passing between them. He held her tightly, feeling the weight of unspoken emotion settle around them. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Their past, their fears, their uncertainties, they all faded away. What remained was the undeniable truth that they had found each other, and neither was willing to let go. She sobbed softly, like someone reunited with a long-lost companion. He gently rolled over, pulling her on top of him. They would move downstairs soon. Maybe they would even rekindle their closeness. But now was the true beginning of love's healing. His thoughts drifted back to the work he had to finish on the computer. He imagined she would enjoy the email she would read in the morning. Come live with me and be my love. And we will all the pleasures prove that valleys, groves, hills, and fields, woods, or steepy mountains yields. And we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks. By shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. And I will make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle embroidered, all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair-lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing, for thy delight each may mourn. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.